Moonlight, what an extraordinary achievement. Congratulations on the film. I'm just wondering if you can talk about how the story came together, your relationship with it, and sort of how you brought this project to fruition.
Yeah, so a mutual friend of mine and Terrell's read Terrell's play in Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue, gave it to me, and right away I just saw a lot about the place I grew up, and in particular this relationship I had with my mother in Terrell's piece. And when I found out that it was largely biographical, not fully biographical, but largely, I just saw so much in Terrell's story that I just felt like I had to find a way to tell it. It was about 3 years ago to the day. And I had been working with a producer named Adela Romansky. We connected with Plan B. They connected us with A24. And from there, it kind of was just like the snowball just rolling downhill, that just cannot be stopped.
Inevitably, in any film, it's difficult to find your own voice. You're trying to serve the entire project. But on this, it must have been particularly difficult since the voice is so strong coming out of the original material. I'm just wondering if you could talk about how you shaped the project and how the project sort of shaped you.
It was great. There was just enough space in the play for me to, as you say, apply my voice. But the beautiful thing was, again, my biography and Terrell's biography were so aligned. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools. All about it, I just saw there was a very clear way that I could very comfortably, and responsibly take ownership of the play, and take it to the screen.
The montage of the play, does it work quite the same way as it does in the film? Like the film certainly bounces around, but for the most part, it's relatively linear. We have the young, we have the middle, we have the old.
The play is nonlinear, for sure. The play is nonlinear. And I felt like the best way for an audience to ingest the evolution of the character was to do it in turn, to go from one age to the next age to the other, And once I decided on that structure and decided we were going to cast 3 different actors, at that point, the movie became very, very clear to me.
Before we get to the cast, which is obviously astonishingly remarkable, but one thing, I'll pay this as a compliment. I had no idea it was a play when I was watching it. So often when you actually do theatrical adaptations, there's a staginess, for lack of a better word. I'm just wondering if you could talk about your own sort of struggles, or at least certain pitfalls that you wanted to avoid, to not making it feel as claustrophobic as often theatrical adaptations to cinema do.
Yeah, again, the beautiful thing about it was the play was set in the actual place I grew up in. So I could take these memories that I feel like Terrell had placed into the play, and I could merge them with my memories. And the way I think is visual, and I don't think in sort of like a closed space. And so it wasn't necessarily like I had to take the play and expand it, I just applied it to the places I knew and saw growing up. And again, it's just kind of like, I was like, oh my God, I lived this. Oh, I didn't live this, but I lived it, And once it was like hitting at that one-to-one level, again, just getting it up on screen as I was adapting the play to script form, it just kind of worked,
We have to talk about this incredible cast assembling these individuals that work together. But of course, so much of the early time is all about silences and looks and glances, and then by the end you have this incredible power yet vulnerability. Just talk about the sort of attenuation of performances that you need to get out of your cast, and what a challenge it was to get these pairs to work together.
The first element of it was, again, trying to take the coming of age format, and instead of telling like this huge arc where it's like, a plot point, just taking one singular moment, and viewing it at a microscopic level, immediately creating space, instead of having 2 minutes for the ripple, we have 10 minutes for the ripple, because I knew I wanted to watch these characters, evolve like in real time. So once we decided that, it just sort of became this thing where it's like, okay, who am I going to cast in this thing? I need actors who can emote without speaking, and I need pairs that can emote, without speaking. And it kind of just fell into place organically. I was looking for men who felt the same as far as the little Chiron Black sort of trajectory. And then on the opposite side, I was looking for men in the Kevin role who could sort of like guide those men, who could sort of like be this beacon, that's either pulling Chiron in the wrong direction. And again, finding what's true and organic to the moment. And every time with all the pairs, it was just there, With both Janelle and Naomi, I think both those roles are difficult in different ways, With Janelle, she'd never acted before, and yet she related to the character like immensely on a very visceral level. With Naomi, it was a challenge, I wanted someone who had very good chops, as they say, and Naomi has very good chops, but she's nothing like that character, and so it was about research and trust and just kind of going for it. And she came to Miami, man, and she just went for it. And she's playing the character that, to me, is most personally related to my biography. She's playing basically a composite of my mom and Terrell's mom. And so it was really difficult working with her on the film because, I mean, at that point, it's like I'm reliving my life, you know, in the present tense, you know, with this fantastic actor, you know, but I need to separate that because we have a character and we've got to build. And every step of the way, when I asked Naomi to do something, you know, I'd explain why and she would explain how she felt and we would just go for it.
Who is you, man? I ain't seen you in like a decade. It's not what I expected. What did you expect?